Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is nutrition, and it's titled The Little Things That Make a Big Difference. So, in this podcast, I wanted to kind of cover the smaller things. Actually, it's in regards to what people think are small things, but they're not, and they're actually sabotaging your progress. And this would be in regards to fat loss, but then also if you flip this and you think about a caloric surplus, this would be the same as being true for trying to do weight gain, if you're trying to build muscle. So these are common things that I see when everybody sends me their nutrition plans and I work with people. These are the mistakes I see the most commonly, and it really is what is holding people back. So we're going to go through what they are, then I'll give you an offer at the end to work on trying to correct these things for yourself and see if you can get past this stuff, or at least correct, some of it, or like the majority of it. So the first thing we typically see is undereating causing overeating. And this is shown in kind of a couple different ways, but if we think of it as a single day, most people undereat during the day when they're most active, and they overeat at night when they're less active. And usually the reason why is because we deem ourselves to be too busy to eat during the day, which is absolutely stupid. And I used to think of myself that way, thinking I was the most specialist person on the planet, and I was so busy that I wouldn't be able to take 2 minutes to eat some kind of snack or food in the middle of the day. So I was so incredibly busy that I could not spare 2 minutes. I was so important to my job and my work that if I wasn't working for 2 minutes, the entire company would crash and burn without me. Oh my. So you tell me, sarcastic jerk this morning. But believing yourself to be too busy to eat it very much is stupid. Because there are a million ways to do it. So, and I've worked with police officers, teachers, nurses, people in management, very high level of management, business owners and whatnot. And everyone has some time, everybody has some way of getting in calories. The fact that you don't is because you're choosing not to. You're choosing to see your schedule as restrictive and exclusory of actually eating, rather than saying, when can I eat and where can I get this in. You just throw your hands up and say it can't be done, and then you just give up. Well, that's a pretty loser mentality. So don't have that mentality. So we'll maybe save that for another podcast in terms of like deeper examples. But I've had people put, a bag of nuts or some type of non-refrigerated, some types of non-melting food product, and they'll have it in their desk. They'll have a, maybe somewhere that they go frequently. Believe it or not, I did have somebody used to keep some in their bathroom, because whenever they would go to the bathroom in the middle of the day, they would hurry up and grab a couple bites of some kind of food and then head back out the door. So they worked at a place that kind of dealt with customer service. So it was, they were afraid management wouldn't look kindly on them from eating behind the desk or behind their kind of counter. So they stored the food in the bathroom. So they took an extra 30 seconds. You'll be amazed how much food you can shove in your face in 30 seconds. So they took an extra 30 seconds, took a couple bites of something every 1 or 2 hours when they would go to the bathroom. And they made it work. I had another guy who used to load trucks for a living, and he used to carry materials into the truck, and then he had protein bar in each pocket of his jacket. And he would grab out each bar on the way out of the truck, take a bite out of each one, shove them back in his pocket, pick up the next box, carry it back into the truck. Then he'd do the opposite of that when he had to unload the trucks. But the guy didn't make any bullshit excuses. He just got done what needed to be done, and he didn't live in a boo-hoo, mentality and think that his life was so damn special that he couldn't take a few bites of stuff here or there. So it is really dumb to think that you are so special and so valuable to your career and job that you can't take 1 or 2 minutes or 30 seconds to get some food. So now that I've offended mostly everybody who's listening to this, hopefully you'll still listen to the rest of this. But what ends up happening is we get too busy during the day to notice that we're underfed. And we start running our energy systems off of like cortisol and stress and like sugars rather than running off of a healthy way of running the body. So your body will find a way to stay busy. Like, I mean, we are designed to do without food if needed. So we burn, just our stress hormones go up. We kind of get in that fight or flight mode. And that's a lot of times what business people or highly strung people tend to rely on is their energy level. So they'll get kind of this manic energy throughout the day where they're bouncing off the walls and like, I'm too busy for this, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. And then all of a sudden at the end of the day they crash and burn and they're wiped out by 7 o'clock. The reason why is because you ran off of freaking stress all damn day, and then the second your body got a chance to breathe, it just said, it shut you down basically and tries to recover. So I've seen this a ton of times with people in various stages. So I've seen it with like people, women who are like stay-at-home moms, and this is gonna sound maybe aggressive, and I don't know. If you get offended by this, I apologize in the sense that you got offended, but I don't apologize for saying it because it's true. Is I've seen stay-at-home moms try to justify their worth as a stay-at-home mom by not controlling their nutrition well and being stressed throughout the day, because if they were living it quote unquote too well, they would be afraid to be seen as being lazy, or it's kind of funny, but in a sense it's self-sabotage. So instead of just living happy and like being like eating the way they should, taking time to like personal time to breathe a little bit during the day, having some me time, and creating a nice solid balanced life, they feel like they have to be stressed in order for people to see that how hard they work, and that gives them value. Your value isn't determined by looking like you barely have your shit together. So you're not you're so busy that you can barely manage your life. That doesn't give you value. That shouldn't make you feel like you look better to other people. So just take the opportunity you have and take care of your life. Eat well, take some me time, structure your day appropriately. It's okay to live a good life. It's okay to enjoy your life. So just because everybody else bitches and whines about their life doesn't mean you have to too. So I had to learn this myself. Is when I first opened this business, I was training 50 hours of clients in person. And that's face-to-face 50 hours. And then I had to do programming on top of that, as a janitor of the business on top of that, accountant, everything else. And I remember kind of using that as a badge of honor in the sense that I was working, 70-ish hours a week as, like I said, a badge of honor, and look at me, how hard I can work, and, I'm the hardest worker, ever. And meanwhile, I'd lost like 20 pounds, I think, in the first month of opening the gym. Was just running ragged. All my clothes were loose on me. I was crashing and burning all weekends. So I would train people on Saturdays till like around noon or 2, and then I would just sleep. I'd go home and sleep from like 3 o'clock on Saturday till like 3 or 4 o'clock on Sunday. Get up, eat a little bit of food, and go right back to bed and wake up Monday morning and do it all over again. That was not a healthy way to live, but in my mind, I almost needed to create this fake story to be able to survive it, because it was so demanding on me emotionally, mentally, everything. It took me a couple years to learn, hey, you know what? The beauty of owning your own business is you can stop and, drink a protein shake, or you can stop and eat some food. You can stop and enjoy some people every now and then. You can schedule your own time for workouts. So I remember I had gotten so unhealthy where I was having back pain every day for 14 months. And then I finally just said, screw it. I'm not taking any clients before 9 a.m. And I took the first 2 hours of every day to do mobility and stretching and stuff and strengthening drills to make my back healthier. And I took a financial loss to do that. But very quickly, within 2 or 3 months, I ended up making more money because I had just better structured my day. I had better energy. And people were able to kind of rearrange a little bit around my schedule. So I took the freedoms that I had as a business owner, and I looked at how I could use those freedoms without feeling trapped by the dependency and the other issues, that the negatives in the sense of being a business owner, which means that you're in high demand. Everybody needs you. Everything revolves around you. But it doesn't mean that you can't push it around and make it revolve around you in the sense that you get to dictate when things happen, and rather than the entire day just kind of dictating it for you. So rather than you reacting to things, you would set your schedule and make everything react around you. So you would be the center of the focus, not just bouncing around from thing to thing to thing. So, got way off topic there, but hopefully that was helpful for some people to hear, is it's okay for you to live a happy life. Okay? I don't know why I would have thought that one back then, and I don't know why you'd be thinking it now, that you have to suffer to have value, or you have to suffer to seem like you're working hard in life. It's okay to just have your shit together. It's okay to just be doing life well. So, if you are under eating during the day and overeating at night, the problem with that is yes, you might burn some body fat during the day when you're underfed and overactive. However, you're getting all of that and more back at night by overeating. So what happens is you put your body in a deficit. The body runs on a deficit and says, ooh, man, I don't like this. If I kept doing this all the time, I would die because I'm on an energy deficit. So our body sees that as potential death. It has no clue that we're trying to get to six-pack abs and look good for like a beach body in the summer. Our body does not recognize beach body. It does not understand that the summer is coming and we can't look like, a fat, fluffy marshmallow. So the idea of the body is to survive. So if you run it most of the day in an anti-survival state, then all of a sudden you sit down, you do nothing, and you give it calories, it's going to go, oh man, I love these calories. I'm going to store as many of these as I can. And then all of a sudden we end up gaining more fat. So that's why people who claim to not eat anything all day and then wonder why they get overweight, the reason why is because they're not eating anything during the day, but they're eating everything at night. Or drinking everything at night, like hint, a bottle of wine. So they're going to be burning some fat during the day, but gaining more fat later in the day by overeating. So that's one of the biggest things we see is people undereat during the day, they overeat at night. And you might not do it every night, but you do it every second or third night, or at least every fourth night. You have some big pig out thing. You go out with some friends and you find a way to justify it in your mind to eat 3,000 calories worth of who knows what. But that's what's leading to your restriction in fat loss, is the fact that you're under-eating during the day than overeating at night. So that's a big component, okay? And then that would be the same for weight gain. If you're trying to gain weight, but you're under-eating during the day and then trying to shove a whole bunch of calories in your face at night because that's when you deem yourself to have enough time to do so, you're just going to get fat. So you may gain weight if you can eat enough calories for sure. You'll gain weight, but you're going to gain mostly fat, not muscle tissue. Okay, so you want your caloric surplus to be focused around your workout when your muscles are damaged, not whenever the muscles are sitting fine in the evening. Like if you worked out at 9 a.m. and you're eating a whole damn pizza at 9 p.m., that does not work. You will get fat, not muscle. Okay, so your calorie intake should be centered around your workouts if you're trying to gain size. Actually, it should be that way if you're trying to lose weight too. So the majority of your calories should come when you're majority busy. Okay. Next kind of factor we have to look at is inconsistent eating. So, and if we look at that throughout a single day, that would be in the sense of like say I ate my breakfast at 6:30, I had a nice little snack at 9:30, I got too busy, quote unquote, during the day and didn't eat till 5:30 at night. That's not good. That does not work. So, because your body has no clue what the hell to do with any of the food, because anytime you eat, your body will use some of those calories at that time because you're busy, you're doing something at that time. You're at least doing the act of eating. But you have some caloric demand at that time. Then the foods typically that you're going to eat are going to take hours to digest. So you'll put it in your face, your body will start breaking it down, it'll use the carbs or kind of sugary, like the faster digesting molecules of what you ate. And then it kind of breaks down the slower digesting ones, and it asks itself as it's breaking it down is, who needs this? Okay, does this muscle need this? Does this organ need this? Does this tissue need this? What do I do with the extra? And if your body knows, hey, we eat at a very certain schedule. Every day we eat every 3 hours. Your body knows when it has extra then to say, oh, I don't really need to keep this. So we always eat every 3 hours. I have a very consistent food intake, so I'll be fine. I'll just get rid of this. But if you have an inconsistent intake, your body thinks it's more important to hold on to those extra calories. So it'll store a higher percentage of that as body fat. So if you have inconsistent eating where, between some meals you have 2 hours, then 6 hours, then 3 hours, then 9 hours, then 2 hours, then 1 hour, then 8 hours. When it's bouncing around like that, your body doesn't really know what to do. So it will err on the side of overstorage rather than err on the side of understorage. And again, that's because our body's designed to survive. It's not designed to die. So if it has an uncertainty, it'll always edge itself towards survival, even to the extreme. So it'll save even more calories than it actually needs, just because, hey, why not? Just in case. So it's kind of like if I gave you $1 million and said, for the rest of your life, you're only going to need, say, 600,000. So go ahead and just throw away that extra 400,000. You're probably not going to. So you'll spend it on something frivolous that you didn't really need, or you'll save it in the bank anyhow, but you're not just going to pitch it in the garbage, even if you're told you don't need it, right? So you're like, well, just in case of a rainy day, let me keep that. And that's what your body does, okay? So, and then if we think about it from day to day, a lot of times people will say, oh, I eat really clean. And yeah, you do that Monday and Tuesday, but then you have a big, lunch with some coworkers on Wednesday, eating Mexican food that you shouldn't eat. And then you go home. Maybe you'll skip a little bit of a dinner that night because you feel guilty about the Mexican. The next day, now you're starving because you didn't have a big dinner. So you start shoving your face full of a little bit of extra stuff throughout the day. An extra cookie there. Susan from accounting brought in a pie, so now you're going to eat a slice of pie that you didn't need. And then all of a sudden, hey, it's Friday, margaritas night, and we go out. We always have date night on Friday, so you go out to a restaurant, you have a 1,000-calorie meal, even though you think it's healthy, like burger and fries, even without the bun, is still like 1,000 calories. So you have that. Then you sleep in on Saturday. You kind of don't eat much because you're busy. Then you go out and have another kind of pig out meal Saturday night. And then Sunday you try to clean it all up and eat nothing. And then when somebody says on Monday morning, like, how was your week? You're like, oh, I'm doing really good. I'm eating really healthy. No, you're not. You're ridiculously inconsistent. So you'll have some days where you're below your maintenance level of calories. Some days you're twice the maintenance calories. So that inconsistency from day to day is going to, again, lead to storage of any excess at those times. So if you have inconsistency throughout a single day, it's not good, and it leads to body fat storage higher than normal or needed. If you have inconsistency from day to day, then that does the same exact effect. Okay, so we have to try to find consistency in our caloric intake amounts. So even if I ate every 3 hours, but one meal is like an apple, and then the next meal's a pizza, then the next meal, I felt guilty, so I eat some celery and carrots, and then the next meal I'm going out and having a burger with friends. So the caloric inconsistency there is not good either. So you want to have some caloric consistency as well as like timing consistency. So those will help a ton. So if you haven't listened to podcast number 41 titled Diet Right, What Matters Most, our podcast number 41 explains a little bit about the components of diet and what are kind of the most important. So calories, macronutrient percentages, like how many carbs, fats, and proteins am I having percentage-wise. Then you have meal timing, you have macronutrient quality. That would be like, am I eating Oreos or am I eating potatoes? Or quinoa. What's the quality of your calories? And then number 5 is kind of like everything else, supplements and everything else. So, but that gives you a little bit of a background. So if you haven't listened to 41, go listen to podcast number 41. The next thing we have, I'll make this a little quick because we're getting a little long here, but is not understanding calorie counts of foods. So like I said, if somebody eats out and they say, oh, well, I didn't have the bun on my burger. Yeah, but you had the burger and you had the fries to go with it. Maybe you even kind of, did the healthy thing of a Diet Coke. But that's still like 800 to 1,000 calories, just having the burger and the fries. So you might think you're like skipping some calories. Sure, is skipping the bun and taking a 1,200 calorie meal down to 800 calories good? Yes, it is. But is an 800 calorie meal necessary when you're trying to lose weight? Probably not. So that would be the idea, is a lot of times people don't understand what's in their food. So even if you look like at restaurants, most food meals are around 1,000 calories. And even healthy options are between 500 to 700 calories, which is usually a pretty high single meal calorie count for most people trying to lose weight. And then we have singular foods, for example. I got a client in the past who used to do salads, and they would have a whole avocado kind of chopped up and chunked off. They would have some like tomatoes, maybe some onion. They'd put on a chicken breast and then put on some ranch dressing, but they would say it was light, or they would just dab their bites in ranch dressing. They wouldn't, I would never pour ranch dressing all over my salad. It's just a little bit. Sure. So if you add that all up, like a single avocado itself is 300 to 400 calories. You get that on top, you add the chicken to that, you add some other stuff. Yeah, maybe you sprinkled on cheddar cheese. Now all of a sudden you're getting the ranch dressing. You could have a 600 to 700 calorie salad, and think you're doing really well. But that's actually a pretty big meal for most people. So if you think about that, if you're eating 4 to 5 times a day, even just 3 meals for most people, like 700 calorie meals, that would be 2,100 calories. And for most people, that's actually a little bit too high in terms of trying to lose weight. So sometimes we're unaware of the importance or the significance of the calorie count of singular food items that we deem healthy. So we would think an avocado is healthy, sure, but a whole avocado on top of a whole salad, with other things that have calories in them, it might not be the best choice, okay? So I remember when I was younger and trying to learn this stuff myself, I had a little pocket book that was probably about I'd say like 2 inches wide by 3 inches tall, but it was like an inch deep, and it was pretty freaking let's just say it looked like a pack of cards. That'd be a better way of explaining it. And you would flip through it, and it had the world's smallest writing, so you'd be holding it like an inch from your face, but it had all the calorie counts of the most common foods. It had calories, grams of fats, carbs, proteins, had sodium intake, some other odds and ends, but I would carry that around. This is before the wonderful age of smartphones, where you'd have internet in the palm of your hand. So we would have internet, like a desktop internet, but I can't carry my desktop computer with me everywhere I go. So this was before even laptops, because I'm apparently the oldest person on the planet explaining this story right now. But I used to carry around that stupid little pocketbook everywhere and try to count up all my calories throughout the day. So that's how I did it. And guess what? It was done. People did it that way. People survived and did it that way from a little pocketbook. And you can't do it out of your damn smartphone? Holy cow. But that's the idea, is you would want to track your calories. And you can even do it just out of one meal a week. So maybe you just track your lunch for a week. So whatever you eat for lunch, try to figure out about the serving size amounts. And there are charts out there where like 4 ounces of meat is about the size of a deck of cards. A cup of carbs is about the size of your fist. So you can kind of like measure things using body part comparisons. You could also just get measuring cups and measure stuff, but you're unlikely to do that. And I would be too. So I'm not going to go to a restaurant and pull out a cup measuring device out of my purse. Well, I wouldn't even have a purse, first of all. But not going to pull it out of my wallet, that's for damn sure. But you're probably not going to measure stuff when you're out and about. So use body part comparisons. And like I said, you can Google that, and there's a ton of examples. But you can do that, and then kind of use like calorie counting apps on your phone. There's nutritiondata.com, which is one of my favorite websites because it's very inclusive of almost anything you want. But there's a lot of apps out there where you can kind of write down the individual items you had for lunch, figure out their serving size, add up their calories, and see what your lunch is for a week. So you don't have to do every meal, just do one meal a day. And just see what that's like for a week. And see if there's any inconsistency to it. See what's happening at that meal. And that'll give you a small kind of micro picture into your overall habits. Okay? So, an offer that we'll make, so like I said at the very beginning, is we have charts for filling out your meal consistency, meal adherence, we'll call it that. So if you'd like, you can email us at brutalironjim@gmail.com. We'll send you these charts. And you can basically kind of write down the times that you ate your meals. You can write down the calorie counts of your meals. So it helps identify meal count consistency. So how many meals am I having per day? Is that consistent per day? I can figure out meal timing consistency. Am I eating, within like similar incremental times between my meals? I can also figure out calorie count distribution and consistency. So am I having most of my calories at different parts of the day, or is it pretty well spread out? And then am I having a consistent amount of calories from day to day? So you want to try to normalize your schedule as much as you can, and that'll help you reduce body fat storage, helps you improve under-eating, overeating, and it'll help you just have better energy throughout the day too. You'll just feel better. So it usually takes about 1 week to learn how to use the chart correctly. You would then take the second week to use the chart correctly, and then, after 2 weeks, you'll know what to do better for the rest of your entire life. Not that bad of an investment. So, it only takes 2 hours to figure out what you're screwing up. 2 weeks to figure out what you're screwing up. So, if you'd like that, shoot us an email at brutalironjim@gmail.com. We'll send that to you, okay? So, hopefully this gave you guys some ideas on things that you might not consider as mistakes, but they absolutely are holding you back. So under-eating causing overeating, so under-eating at certain times of the day and then trying to overeat, or trying not to overeat, but you end up doing it at other times of the day. We have inconsistent eating, which is throughout a single day or from day to day. So just what we do one day doesn't seem to be the same the next day, and it's kind of scattered all over the place. And then we have not understanding calorie counts of foods. So thinking that we're eating healthy, but not really actually knowing how many calories are in our foods. So I can't count the number of times, and it's sad, where I'll tell somebody, are you eating healthy? And they'll go, yeah. And they have absolutely no knowledge or data to support that. None. They just have this internal belief that they're doing things right. Then when we look through it and we break it down, they're not even remotely close to right. Whenever you look at the actual data and their actual habits. So when you get out of your self-lies and your self-justifications and you look at what am I really actually doing, it's nowhere close to what you normally think, and it's not anywhere near close to being correct. So don't let yourself lie to yourself, okay? So the scale doesn't lie, the mirror doesn't lie, your clothes don't lie. So don't lie to yourself. If you're unhappy with what you see on the scale, the mirror, or your clothes, then there's some things you can clean up, I guarantee it. So be a little proactive, find out what those things are, make a couple little changes. You don't have to eat cardboard for the rest of your life. You don't have to be, on some super strict diet where you can never go out with friends. Just try to get the stuff right in between those moments. So enjoy life, enjoy social actions and interactions and doing stuff, but get the stuff in between that correct. And then those, like every few moments here or there, won't make as big of a difference. They're not going to be the things that are holding you back. So it's what you do every day that holds you back. Not something you do once a week or once a month, okay? So look at your everyday habits first. Yes, they're a little more annoying and hard to change, but they're more impactful and they're worth the annoyance and worth the effort, rather than trying to change these big things that don't really matter much, okay? So hopefully this gave you some insight into some things to think of, and hopefully it helps. So if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Brutal Iron Gym. Also, if you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. Please do that, okay? So if you've had a conversation with somebody recently and you think something in a podcast might help them, send them the URL, send them the link, okay? Share the podcast as much as you can. So the more people we help, the happier the world will be. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we would love, love, love to hear from you. The podcast is for you, so we want to know what you want to learn about. And you can reach us at our email at brutalironjim at gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.